So far, for every day that I have told you the story of my trip to Portugal, I have told you that that day was special. And I've not lied, every day was special in a different way while I was there. But this day that I'm going to talk about now, day 6 in Portugal, was really special, not just for the trip but also in my life. How it was special, you will find out. If you stick with me, I'll tell you why the day was so special, but also I'll tell you all the mistakes that I made on this day so that you can avoid those mistakes when you visit Portugal yourself. So stay tuned and cue the B-roll. Again, this is Sunny and you're watching Sunny Escapades, my travel vlog where I tell you the stories of all the great things that I did and saw and also the bad things, the mistakes that I made. We are going to talk about this day 6, which was my birthday, which is why it was special in my life and not just in the trip, but in the trip also. It was special because I had my day off. So last 3 days I had been working from Portugal, from Lisbon, from my hotel, and this day and the next day I had taken days off so that I could just go do sightseeing and enjoy myself. If I had to give this day a title, I would call it the Odyssey of Mistakes because I made so many mistakes here. And I want to try and give you all the details so that you can avoid those mistakes. Okay, my first mistake was that I started quite late. I was getting up early, like 6:30 pretty much every day there, 6:30, and I was going for a walk, but by this time I was getting a blister on my left foot, so I was not going for a walk. I did not go for a walk on this day. Did have my shower, everything beforehand already, and then had breakfast, but even then I left about 10 o'clock. That is late because for this day I had planned something special. I was going to go out of Lisbon to a little town called Sintra, which is quite famous. If you go to Lisbon, you have to go there, it's very nice. And also to Cascais, which is a beach town, also very nice. And these are like very nice day trips that you are supposed to do when you are in Lisbon. And it is correct, you should do that. Both were nice, but you should not start so late because what I did not know was that not only me, other people knew about Sintra as well. So it was extremely crowded, which means long queues everywhere, which means lots of demand on every single thing there, which means you don't have great experience. So if you are going to Sintra, start early, like 7:30, 8 o'clock max. Even then, even though I started like 10 o'clock, I did not take a e-scooter, just took a taxi, went to the Rossio station, and from there I could take a train. So even on the ticket machines for the trains, they had somebody to help, they had a staff member to help people, and the machines had English language in them, so I could have kind of like, done it myself. But because that person was there, he was like, okay, where are you going? Sintra, yeah, tick, 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 tick. And then 2 seconds and I have the ticket. And it was not very expensive. It was like 3-4 euros, something like that. So it was about 10:40 that I walked in there. And then because there was a train right there standing which said Sintra on its forehead. So I was like, okay, there's my train. No need to hunt around, look for information board, anything like that. But the train had been there for a while, obviously, because there were people in it and there were so many people in it. I just walked and walked and walked along the train on the platform to see where I can find some empty seats. It was one of the last coaches that I got a seat, and then also I got a seat in like the back section where they have parallel seats rather than proper seats. It was okay. It was like a 40 minutes journey, nothing bad, but yeah, not great to start late. That was my first mistake. Then I was doing my research on the phone using ChatGPT, using Google Maps and some internet during those 40 minutes, other than recording some shots for my vlog. You can see them already. So by the time I got there, I knew that there's a hop on hop off bus that you can take, which is like 8 euros, and that takes you to all the major sites. And what are the major sites? I knew all of that before already, but I did not know how bad that bus was. That was my second mistake, taking the hop on hop off bus. I would advise you strongly not to take that bus. Okay, in all my travels, I have taken that sort of hop on hop off bus many times, and with the exception of Oxford, I have regretted it every time. In Oxford, I did not regret because I had already seen those sites, so it did not matter very much. I lived in Oxford, but every place I have been, Malta, Glasgow, everywhere, I have regretted that. The reason for this, okay, one, ChatGPT had very old information for pricing, so this was like 1350, okay, 1350 euros, not 8 euros. And then those buses, they were extremely popular because everybody had read the same Google pages that I had read, and it was so busy, it was so full that I could find space only to stand in towards the back section. And then also I was not the only one, so it reminded me of the old times when I used to live in Delhi, and there's a bus company called Delhi Transport Corporation, we call that DTC, and DTC buses used to be full like that, where you have your hand in one place on that support pole and then you cannot move from there, because if you move you're gonna hit somebody else. Oh God. Second reason is that that bus did not stop at all the stops that it was supposed to stop at. Why? Don't ask me. I don't know Portuguese, so I could not ask anybody. Okay, I asked ChatGPT. So they have two lines. There's a yellow line and there's a blue line, and they go to different sites. Okay, and there are very few places where they actually coincide, where they interchange happens, so that you can get off of one line and take the other lines. 434, 435, these are two buses there. So I did something smart. I took a picture of the brochure they had given us with the ticket, and I asked ChatGPT, okay, hey, I need to go to this place. That place, by the way, was an inverted well that I wanted to see very much, and I could not see it. I'll tell you why. Let's carry on. So ChatGPT tells me, okay, so you have to go to this point, then get off, walk to this point which is close by, and then take the other line. Okay, so cool, fine. But that bus did not stop everywhere it was supposed to stop, and there was a couple, they were like a young boy and his girlfriend, and they started getting worried. They're like, why is it not stopping? And the girl was very worrying kind, so she was worrying for after about 10 minutes. But after a while it started to get to me, and I'm like, yeah, why is this bus not stopping? This has been traveling for a while. It traveled for about 45 minutes before it stopped, and by the time 4 of those stops on the brochure, they had already passed. They're already gone. You could not stop, you could not get off there because they were gone. And as I said, I could not go and ask the driver because the bus was very busy. I would have to, like go surf through the crowd to get to the driver. And then also, what would I ask them? Portuguese, hola? That's it. That's all I can say. Fala português? That's all I can ask. But other than that, so I did not try to go and ask and make a stupid fool of myself. I just got off there. And this place is called the Castelo de Moros, which means Moorish castle in English. Okay, outside the castle there was a ticket machine, so you could go there and then choose English and then go. It was €12.50 or £12, €12.50 for the ticket to get in. I was so pissed off with that. It's an expensive ticket, and also they don't check the ticket. They check the ticket when you are about halfway inside the castle. If I knew that, I would have just gone in and come back from that point, because to be honest, I did not much care for that castle. I'll be honest with you, it was not the castle, it was me, because I had the blister on my foot, so walking was literally physically painful, but I still wanted to see the sights, so I was not gonna stop and sit somewhere. But because of that, I was not enjoying the walking, and this castle is all walking, going up the steps, going down the steps, going along the open corridors, just that. So you can see some battlements, you can see some little towers, you can see a lot of stone walls, you can see some skeletons in one place as well, in a glass thingy. So basically it was like, okay, what am I doing here? And it was again crowded as well, so some of the places you had to squeeze past other people or wait other people to come back from the steps, and then you go up the steps. Cut the long story short, too late, but it was not my cup of tea. I got bored with that. Okay, so I got out of that without going to rest of those towers and battlements and the stone steps. Got out, I had to ask somebody how to get out because it was a huge castle and not that many signs around. Took some pictures and took some nice panoramas, but once you've taken one panorama, you go 10 steps and take another one. It doesn't make a lot of difference. So I love taking photos, I love taking videos, but even I was bored with that, having the same view from a slightly like 2 degrees north and 2 degrees south. I didn't care much, but I did want to go to the next one, which is the Penna Palace. And Penna Palace is very beautiful palace. You will see all its pictures in a like yellow and kind of like red kind of towers, red maroon kind of color. I'm very bad with color names. I can see colors differently, but don't know all the names for all the shades. Okay, so but it is very pretty, like a Disney castle kind of castle. So I wanted to go to that one. Came out, waited for the next bus, the hop off bus I could hop on. I could not hop on because there was a long queue and the bus had very limited space even for standing. It was that busy. If I had not already paid those $13.50, I would have taken a tuk-tuk which were just outside the castle. I don't know, for the few things that I wanted to see, the few things that I had time to see, I think it would have probably been the same price I would have paid for the tuk-tuk, and it would have been much more convenient. So that was my other mistake that I've already talked about, taking the hop on bus, but I had no choice but to wait there. Waited for the next one. Next one did have some space, so took that, went to the Penna Palace. Again, there was a ticket for that, which was also about 15. I think it was two tickets there. So there was one which was to go inside and one was to go only in the gardens, only in the palace gardens. So I said, I'm not gonna go inside. I want to take a picture of that, the kind of picture that I've seen on internet, and let's see if I can take that picture from the outside. I don't need to go inside. So I took the cheaper one, which I think was 12 or 15 euros. It was not very cheap. And this was my third mistake here, that I started to realize that I should have booked these tickets in advance beforehand, because the queues for each one were long and also they were in the sun. So the queue was in the sun, then you stay in that for about 20-25 minutes, then you move inside, and then you have another 10-15 minutes to stay in the queue, and then after about 30 to 40 minutes you get the tickets by spending your 12-15 euros. And that was like, oh my god, if I had booked online. And could I book online now? No, because there was no signal there. Signal was very bad in Sintra, by the way, mobile signal. Okay, so I could not book it that time, and even if I could for that day, you could not book. So yeah, if you are going to Sintra, please take my advice, book the main sites that you want to see, buy the tickets in advance. Okay, Moorish Castle, I would say don't buy the tickets, go in and see all the stuff that you can see before the ticket checking point and then come back. If you are smart, do this. Otherwise, it will be just more steps like that. Anyway, so that was my third mistake, not booking tickets in advance. I had to stay in the queue, whatever, but the tickets got in very huge gardens. I actually had to use my Google Maps to see where exactly is the palace building itself. I found other people who were wandering around lost as well. Then I found some people who were going purposefully in a single direction. Said, okay, these people must know where this is. They did. So I followed them, got to the palace. Near the palace, did not take a single picture because, you know, near the palace, you can just see like a small 10% of the wall. There's nothing much. So I wanted to get a proper point of view, what they call the Miradouro in Portugal. So I wanted to get to the viewpoint so where I can take that. Signage in Penna Palace is awful, not much, and what there is very confusing. So I had to use again the Google Maps and also ask some people as to how do I get to this place. So somebody told me Alto Cristo is and I asked ChatGPT as well, and ChatGPT where I could get the signal. So it said Alto Cristo is one of the places where you can get a good view of that falls. Okay, so it took me a while and it was again painful to walk up those sloping roads to get to that high point. There was a little girl who was walking with two older ladies, and she was like, holidays make me tired, and I was like, yep, I got you. I can totally understand you. You're absolutely right. But I was feeling like that little girl at that point, like holidays make me tired because my foot was hurting. But I did continue on, went to this Alto Cristo point. Alto Cristo means the high cross. I think I'm saying it right. Alto Cristo it was. Sorry, I just checked. Alto Cristo I think was the one in Lisbon near the bridge. This one was called Cruz Alta. Same thing, high cross. Meaning is the same, but it was Cruz Alta. So you have to see the sign for Cruz Alta. Got to the high point, even got close to the actual cross itself, but unfortunately you could not see the palace from there because there were trees in the way which were very high, and you could just see glimpses of the color of the palace. So I was really pissed off with that everything was so misleading. Okay, I'm getting out of here. I don't know how these people have taken these pictures, whether they're actually luxury pictures or artist depictions or with drones or something, but the pictures that you see on the internet, I did not find a way to take that particular picture where you can see the whole castle in one frame. So if you're going there, maybe do better research than I have done, or don't have the dream that I had of taking the picture for the castle, the whole castle in one frame. Then from there I said, okay, I'm kind of done with that. I could not go to the inverted well and the time was getting on, so I said, okay, I want to go to Kishkaish as well. So I decided to, let's take the next bus that I can take. No, there was no bus. I asked some taxi driver and she told me, oh no, you have to call an Uber or a Bolt to take you. The local taxis would not go and there's no bus that you can take. So another mistake was I did not plan my routes properly. Should have planned all those things properly as to which site I'm going to see first, then where I'm going, and just taking tuk-tuks to go to those. That would have been so much better. So in a way, I kind of spoiled the whole sightseeing part of this day by not planning even more in advance than I did. So from there, then I called a Bolt and that was okay, and it was not very expensive as well. I think it was about like 20 euros or something like that. So that guy dropped me in Kishkaish near the beach, as far as he could go, and I loved Kishkaish much more than I loved Sintra. Kishkaish was also very touristy, but because it's a beach town, there's a nice dock, you can see the water, you can see all these beautiful boats, and you can take some nice pictures, you can buy t-shirts. I just liked it much more. It was maybe more touristy than Sintra, but Sintra was all the going up the hill, going down the hill, and then there's a bus coming behind you, so you scramble off, out of the way, all of that. Kishkaish was much cooler. By the way, I'm saying Kishkaish because that is the correct pronunciation, how locals say it. I remember asking, so it's a Cascais, that's the spelling. I tried Kashkaish. No. I asked the taxi driver also. He was, I think, Nepalese, Bangladeshi, I think, and he had been there for a while, so he told me it's like Kashkaish. No, that's not correct. And I remembered after I had discussed all of this, then I remembered later I had seen an episode of Craig Ferguson's TV show on YouTube. It's one of my guilty pleasures. I love to watch old episodes. He's just so funny and smart. And he had a Portuguese actress on the show, and then she was from Kishkaish. So she says, okay, where are you from? So she said Kishkaish. I said, oh, Kishkaish. She said, oh yeah, you said it right. And the next time she came on, again they talked about it. Again he said it right, and then she said, oh, you said it perfectly last time as well. So that conversation came into my mind, and I was like, okay, now I remember it's Kishkaish. It's nothing else, Kishkaish. Okay, I like saying that. It's a nice, cool name. It's a very charming name. But okay, so I just walked around there for a bit, looked for some t-shirts, looked for some magnets and stuff. Bought a couple of those postcards as well, and bought a couple of t-shirts from there. It was alright. Then I was hungry by this time, so I thought, let's go find something to eat. And now I found the first Indian person that I had met in Portugal, and this guy was outside a restaurant called Duke's, and he was, like, come on in, we have food, we have this much, come on in, and something like that. So he was the bringing of the customers. So there were lots of people like that outside every restaurant. So I asked him, like, do you have anything vegetarian? He said, oh yeah, we have something vegetarian. So this was a different experience than Portuguese people saying nope, we have nothing. This was a normal experience where he said, like, you can have this thing and this thing and this thing, like that. And oh my god, could he talk. I had a long chat with him before I sat down, and then I had some chat with him afterwards as well. I think I had a toasty there with cheese, mozzarella or something. It was alright, not great, but okay. Coffee was better. So that was my late lunch, supper, whatever you want to call it. It was okay. It was good enough to keep me going. I still had some time before the sunrise, before the sunset, and before my train back was due. I checked online as to what time that would leave. So I went to this place called Boca do Inferno, or maybe in Portuguese, Boca do Inferno. I think it's Boca do Inferno. It means the gates of hell. And this place is also very cool. Based on the name, don't judge it by the name, by the way. The name is very ominous and scary, but the place is nice. It's a place where the Mediterranean Sea has been hitting against the rocks for a long time, like thousands of years, and it has such shapes into it, all like jagged, uneven shapes, and some like caves and stuff. But the place itself is very cool. So just go there. It's a waterfront, it's not a beach, but you can just go there, hang out, take some nice pictures and watch the waves. If you have time, just sit there and watch the waves crash on the rocks. It's absolutely fantastic. It's like therapy. Sit and watch. I did not have that much time to sit and watch, but I did, just did some pictures and I stood there and watched a few waves because, part of the game. And then I was coming back, so I just took a taxi again, Bolt, which was not very expensive. So I asked less than 10 euros. So I asked the taxi driver to drop me at the station. The Indian guy who was there at the restaurant, I had asked him as to when I'm taking the train back. Oh yeah, there was an incident. There was a couple, they were in Kishkaish, they were on the table. They came after I was already seated. And this, my friend who was Vivek, what was his name? One second. Yeah, his name was Tarun. I just checked because I did take his number before I left because he does some filming or something. I don't know what it was, but I had told him like, okay, I wanted to get your contact, but you're going to India, so there's no point. They were going to go take a taxi back to Lisbon, and Tarun was trying to convince them not to take the taxi back, but take the train back because it's a very scenic. So before I left, I asked him which side to sit on in the train to take the scenic route. So he told me, okay, sit on this side so that you will see all the views. And oh wow, it was absolutely gorgeous, those views. So you sit in the direction the train is moving. If you're facing that direction, you sit on the right hand side, and there are so many beaches and just gorgeous, like a row of sceneries. I was going crazy just taking pictures with my phone and with my camera, and there were a couple of small kids, like teenage kids, who were also, I think they were from Germany. I heard some snatches of conversation, and they were also going very crazy taking pictures. And then because my window was slightly better, they were leaning forward towards that and then saying sorry and all of that. So I was like, okay, that's fine, not a problem, because they were also very enthusiastic about it. The view was worth the enthusiasm. Also, when the train comes into Lisbon, it passes right under the 25th April bridge, so you get that view from underneath as well. It's just gorgeous. If you go to Kishkaish, and you should, take the train back. Do not take the taxi, no matter how much money you have. Just take the train back, sit on that side, and if you want to take picture. Otherwise, just enjoy yourself. I myself could not sit still without taking pictures because it was sunset time when I was coming back. So that scenery was absolutely gorgeous, but even more gorgeous because of the time of day, the golden hour. Took a lot of those pictures. Because I had already had late lunch and very heavy kind of late lunch, I was not feeling very hungry to go for a special dinner. Even though it was my birthday, I was alone in a foreign country by myself, so it was up to me what I wanted to do, what I didn't want to do. So I just went back to the hotel, and there was some stuff in the fridge if I wanted to eat later. Because it was my birthday, so I had been getting some messages, WhatsApp and text messages, and a couple of aborted phone calls because I did not have very good signal all the day. But after I came back to my hotel room, then I connected with my friend Roberta that I have mentioned a few times, because she and I have had some travel adventures together in the past, and hopefully we'll have again in the future. And then afterwards I just had some snacks from the fridge, and then yeah, that was the day, my special day, birthday in Portugal. And although I have told you all these mistakes that I made, by the way, the last mistake I wanted to mention was that doing both the towns in the same day. It was a mistake, Sintra and Kishkaish, because they both deserve one full day of their own. I knew that, but I did not have that much time to spare, so I had to do them in the single day. But that was also kind of a mistake. If I had to do that again, knowing what I know now and knowing that I only have one day, I would start very early and have a proper curfew, as in, okay, this is the time I'm gonna leave from Sintra to go to Kishkaish, and then divide the days and divide the towns in the same day that way. Okay, that would be my way of doing that. If you only have one day, then start very early and then have, okay, this many hours here, these things to see, and these things you see in the other one. I know some people like to plan, some people don't like to plan. Last thing I want to say is, even though I made all those mistakes, even though I had all these faux pas in my whole day, I still enjoyed it a lot. It was good as a birthday as well, and it was good as a sightseeing day. I was in a very happy mood when I came back, so it was like very tiring day as well, so perfect day. Very, very nice day. After that is the next day, which is when I started to my travel back to England. Tell you about that in the next episode. Please subscribe so that you don't miss it. Although it's not a sightseeing kind of day, there were still some interesting things in that. Okay, I will stop saying that it was a special day. I've been saying that for all the 6 days so far, but it was still quite an interesting day. So subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.